But in the studio, there was a tremendous tug of war going on over who would go to Mexico to film Catch 22. But it just went on as a lot of movies do. There were times when we didn't agree, and such times may turn into serious fights that would cease. They made some of the most beautiful music harmonies ever. But behind the scenes, Simon and Garfunkel's relationship was falling apart because of anger and creative competition. Paul Simon, who is now 83, has now spoken out about the terrible reality about why their partnership was doomed from the start after years of silence. But what he says he did might shock you more than you thought it would. To really grasp the enormity of the loss, we must reflect on the accomplishments of Simon and Garfunkel as a duo. In 1953, Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel met for the first time in primary school in Queens, New York. They were just 11 years old when they found out that their voices worked perfectly together in a school play of Alice in Wonderland. What began as a relationship between kids turned into one of the most successful musical partnerships ever. By the middle of the 1960s, Simon and Garfunkel had gone from being teenage artists named Tom and Jerry to folk rock superstars. Sounds of Silence, their first big hit album, came out in 1966 and made them famous all over the world. After that, they made great albums like Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Time, and the famous Bookends. Bridge Over Troubled Water, which spent 10 weeks at number 1 and earned 6 Grammy Awards, was the duo's best work. It was amazing how well they did. More than 100 million records sold around the world, being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and songs that formed the soundtrack of a generation. The Sound of Silence, Mrs. Robinson, Scarborough Fair, and Bridge Over Troubled Water are still great songs that people love to hear. But in 1970, when they were at the top of their game and the world was at their feet, Simon and Garfunkel startled everyone by saying they were breaking up. The first hints of problems showed up when they were recording Bookends in 1968. Paul Simon, the main songwriter and creative force behind their music, started to get more and more angry with what he thought was Art Garfunkel's lack of dedication to the collaboration. Simon put a lot of effort into writing and arranging their songs, but Garfunkel was busy looking for acting jobs, the most famous of which being his performance in Mike Nichols' movie Catch 22. Simon later said that he felt like he was doing all the hard work while Garfunkel was in the spotlight. I was the one who wrote the songs. I was putting them in order. I was making them. Art would come in and sing his portion. Simon talked about it in interviews. This imbalance made them more and more angry, which would hurt their relationship for decades. During the Bridge Over Troubled Water sessions, the tension got really bad. Simon wrote the title song just for Garfunkel's high tenor voice, knowing it would fit his partner's range well. He later said that he was torn about giving away what he knew would be their biggest hit, though. Simon felt even more like he was in the background because the song was so popular and critics and fans loved Garfunkel's emotive delivery. Simon wrote a lot of songs that people didn't notice, but the actual end of their cooperation stemmed from big contrasts in their personalities and how they made music. Simon, who was a control freak and a perfectionist, wanted to have full creative control over their work. He spent a lot of time writing complex musical arrangements and deep lyrics. He saw Garfunkel's voice as a way to bring his artistic vision to life. On the other hand, Garfunkel saw himself as an equal partner who should have a say in creative decisions. This fight got worse when Garfunkel suggested alterations to Simon's arrangements when they were recording Bridge Over Troubled Water. Simon subsequently said that these times were quite difficult for him since he thought someone who didn't help write the songs was ruining his artistic vision. Things got even more complex as Garfunkel became more interested in performing. Simon felt abandoned and angry since he was gone for so long when Catch 22 was being filmed. Simon had to put off recording sessions and advertising events because Garfunkel was working on what Simon thought was a vanity project. This made their momentum slow down. During this time, Simon became sure that he was the only one who really cared about their musical partnership. Personal problems were also a big part of why their relationship got worse. Simon was very aware of how he looked next to Garfunkel, who was tall, blonde, and conventionally gorgeous. Simon was 5'3" inches tall. He said in interviews that he felt like the ugly one in the group since he thought people were more interested in Garfunkel's looks and singing than in his own songwriting skills. Over the years, this uneasiness grew, adding to his anger. The breaking point came in 1970 when Garfunkel did something that Simon saw as the worst betrayal. Garfunkel agreed to work on another movie, Carnal Knowledge, without talking to his partner first. This would mean months away from music. Simon thought this was proof that Garfunkel didn't care about their cooperation and was more concerned in his acting career than their musical legacy. Simon made the decision to stop Simon and Garfunkel on his own, in a fit of rage and frustration. He subsequently said that he told Garfunkel he was going to be a solo artist in a cold way. He acted the way he did because of all the anger he had built up over the years and the fact that he thought he had been carrying the relationship by himself. Both men were heartbroken after. Garfunkel subsequently said that Simon's choice and the brutal way it was given made him feel like he was being ripped apart. He really thought they were equal partners, so he was astonished to find out how angry Simon was. The breakup caused him to become depressed for years, which hurt both his acting and singing careers. Simon, on the other hand, worked hard on his own career, determined to show that he could do well without Garfunkel. His first solo albums, Such the critically praised Paul Simon and There Goes Rhymin' Simon showed that he was an independent musician, but they also showed how much he missed Garfunkel's harmonies. Simon and Garfunkel tried to make up with each other many times throughout the years. Each one failed in the end because of the same problems that caused their first partnership to fall apart. Their reunion in 1975 for a Saturday Night Live performance was tense and awkward, and it was evident that neither guy wanted to be in the same room as the other. Their 1981 concert in Central Park was the most important reunion. It gathered over 500,000 people and became one of the most viewed concerts in TV history. The event made it appear like their magic was still there, so they made arrangements for a new record and tour. But during the recording sessions for what would become Simon's Hearts and Bones album, the old pattern swiftly came back. Later, Garfunkel said that Simon had intended the album as a reunion effort for Simon and Garfunkel. He even recorded Garfunkel's vocals on a few songs. But when artistic issues came up again, Simon decided to take Garfunkel's vocals off the album and release it as a solo work. This betrayal hurt much more than the first breakup, since it showed that Simon still couldn't let go of creative power after being apart for more than 10 years. The same thing happened again on their reunion tour from 2003 to 2004. The tour sold out arenas all over the world and made over $100 million. But there were problems behind the scenes and in public. Garfunkel was angry that Simon had so much say over the set list and arrangements, since he felt like he was only a backup singer for songs he had helped make famous. As Paul Simon nears the end of his career, he has been very open about his relationship with Art Garfunkel and how he thinks he failed in their partnership. Simon has finally come clean about what many people thought all along at the age of 83. It wasn't simply about their different ideas or career goals that led to their breakup. It was because he couldn't let go of control and was very insecure about their relationship. In a rare moment of honesty, Simon said, "The truth is, I was scared of Art's talent. His voice was the thing that made our songs sound bad, but I couldn't stand not being the only important part. Art's voice made me feel like I could be replaced, which I didn't want." Simon also said that he was often mean and calculating to Garfunkel. He said that he purposely left Garfunkel out of critical creative decisions and used their commercial relationship to keep control over their artistic path. He admitted, "I was protecting my ego at the cost of something beautiful." Simon said that he regrets many of the things he has done over the years, which is probably the most startling thing he said. He said that even though his solo career was successful, it never truly recreated the beauty of their work together. He said, "I showed I could do it alone, but I never showed it was better. Some partnerships are better than some of their parts, and ours was one of them." Their narrative is still one of music's most poignant what-ifs, even though Simon and Garfunkel are both in their last years. Paul Simon's recent confessions make it seem like a guy is finally coming to grips with the decisions he made as a young, insecure artist. Even if it's too late to fix the harm, he has grown by admitting his mistakes and the cost of them. Art Garfunkel, who is now 82, has been more careful about what he says in public. Friends say he may have found some solace in Simon's admissions, but the chance of an ultimate reconciliation is still very small because decades of hurt and mistrust can't be readily erased by revelations that come later in life. What is clear is that what they made together is beautiful. Bridge Over Troubled Water, The Sound of Silence, and Scarborough Fair are still popular with new generations of listeners. This shows that their artistic cooperation was stronger than their personal problems. Their music shows what can happen when two talented people work together, even if their narrative shows how easy it is to lose such magic. Thank you for watching. Click here to see another video, and don't forget to subscribe to our